episode 55.
Hi, I'm Necrozek, your hostess with the mostest. Welcome to Into the 99 podcast, where we've got 99 cards because Commander's number one. I am joined by the man with the largest forearms in all of Canada, Dan. You want to say hi to the audience, Dan?
Hey guys, how's it going today? Today it's just Zach and I. Hope's working and Brian's out with his girlfriend. He's hiking and stuff. So we're talking about a deck Zach's actually put together, and we're really excited. Zach, tell him a little bit about the deck here.
So, as I told the rest of the podcast this morning, I was awoken very early by my son and my puppy, and amidst my pre-morning slumber, I had this spark of imagination and decided to make a party deck around Zagras, Thief of Heartbeats.
And you had a pretty good name for it, I thought.
Yep, it's Party on Zagras. It feels like it fits the theme pretty well, being in red-black. And
yeah, red-black party is going to be an interesting way to look at it. So what does Zagras do?
So Zagras is a 4 black-red for a legendary creature, Vampire Rogue. They're a 4/4. He costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. They have Flying, Death Touch, Haste. Other creatures you control have Death Touch. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a Planeswalker, destroy that Planeswalker.
Death Touch, crazy.
Yeah, it's very cool. So he already cares about party members. So obviously the deck is going to deal with party. And we're also dealing with his Anthem, where he gives other creatures Death Touch. With it being red and black, we have a lot of pingers. So I wanted to try to utilize that as best as possible. And there are a lot of really good creatures in these colors to do so.
Yeah. Let's start it off with the party. What's who's at this party?
Man, we have all kinds of different party members here. So starting off at the top of our list, you can follow along with the deck we'll have a link for the art
in the show notes, yeah.
But we're starting at the very top of the party, and we have Archetype of Aggression. They're a 1 red legendary creature, human warrior. Creatures you control have trample, and creatures your opponents control can't have or gain trample. They're 3/2. So this is kind of nice with Zagras giving all of our creatures Death Touch. Having Archetype of Aggression on the battlefield means that we can deal 1 point of damage, destroy a creature blocking, and then basically overrun our opponent with
assign your 1 point of lethal. Yep.
So I thought that was kind of cool, and it being a warrior means that Zagras costs 1 less to cast. If we're doing this turn 3, Zagras could come down turn 5 if we only play this guy on curve.
Yep. The next one you have on this list here, Blood Cultist. I've actually never seen this card. It's 1 in Rakdos. It's a human wizard, 1/1. It has tap to deal 1 damage to target creature. Again, that's going to be extremely powerful with all your creatures having Death Touch. Whenever a creature dealt damage by it is put into a graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on it. So I can see this getting enormous pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not really utilizing a lot of untapped shenanigans because with it being in red-black, there aren't as many as you would think. But being able to just basically have a threaten effect on the field at any given time, where if someone plays something without indestructibility or shroud or what have you, you can just remove the issue. Kind of makes you people are going to be friendly to you. You know what I mean? Politically, I think this deck is going to be a lot of fun where you can be the kingmaker, or you can just hey, I'm setting up my board. If you mess with me, I will set you back to the Stone Age.
You're losing that Birds of Paradise. You don't cut that out.
Exactly. That's what we want to see. And Blood Cultist is just going to end up being huge in the long run because you're going to be able to destroy something every time she taps and deals damage.
Yep. This next one's a pretty interesting wizard. You don't see this one very often.
This is Calculating Lich. It's 4 black for a zombie wizard, another one of our party members. They have Menace, and whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents, that player loses 1 life. They're a 5/5. This was one of those cards that came out of the Friday Night Magic box set. I really like these cards that were printed specifically in those sets, and this is just kind of cool where we're going to incrementally get damage over time. With our creatures having Death Touch, people probably aren't going to want to block with a lot of their stuff. So not only are we, getting through on damage, but this just adds a little bit more each time. And with it being, another party member, it also makes our commander a little bit cheaper. If, late game, it's already been destroyed once, we can play it again.
Yep. Well, and another really nice thing about this is that this is for everyone's creatures, not just your creatures when they attack. So if other people are attacking you have someone on the board that you can't really deal with or get through, they've got lots of blockers, it is loses life, not damage, so you can drain opponents really easy that way, and yeah, you don't have to get through with your 10 tokens to deal that 10 life. It's a great card. It's a shame you don't really see these ones more often because, like you said, they weren't really available.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about it too, sometimes you don't have the removal for a deck someone's playing, but we always have access to player removal, and this card just speeds up that clock.
Yep, absolutely. The next one we have is Daggercaster, Vishano Rogue, 3 and a red for a 2/3. It enters, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, so very effective board wipe.
Yep, it's a one-sided blasphemous act or what have you. Vishino Rogue is already really interesting creature type. We're back on curve. We're playing this. We can play our commander next turn. Typically, you want to sequence a commander then this card, but there are situations where someone has a bunch of 1/1.
Yeah, some tokens you need to get rid of.
Yeah, playing this on curve doesn't really feel bad.
But yeah, like we were saying and stuff, with your commander out, this hitting the board is a very, very powerful card.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There are a lot of really sweet like Christmas land cards, and this is one of those that you can sequence correctly and get so much more value out of than your opponents.
Yeah.
The next card is a new one from Zendikar Rising. It's Demon's Disciple. It's 2 and a black. It's a human cleric 3/1. When Demon's Disciple enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. I really like this card. I use it in our clerics deck from last episode. If I can jam this in something, I'm going to. I already like like Fleshbag Marauder.
Planeswalker Sacrifice is very strong. Like a lot of the time, yeah, you're not going to hit me with that Fleshbag Marauder because I'm not running that. I just have Planeswalkers out, like a Windgrace or something. Not anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, no, this will really do a lot of extra damage.
I was happy to see that you put this one in, Drana the Last Blood Chief. We talked about this during the spoiler season, but like I can't get over how good of a reanimator card this is. The 3 black flying, when it attacks, defending player chooses a non-legendary creature card in your graveyard. You return that card to the battlefield with a 1 counter on it. That creature is a vampire in addition to its types. So it hits the party mechanic. It's a very strong reanimator, and we know that that's what Zach does.
Yeah, it's cool too because we're dealing with a lot of these creatures that are going to give us some kind of ETB effect we want to abuse. So worst case we play Zagras and someone's dealt with our Daggercaster or something already. We can block and maybe not have creatures in our graveyard and hit with Drana and do it again.
Yeah, there's I'm liking the party mechanic so far. Like looking at this, I said during the episode that it was not super exciting to me before, but like looking at this already looks really fun, and like the Death Touch Tribal is a really interesting way. Like I thought maybe because of the colors you were gonna be a little lacking on the party. Like where's your wizards? But you're not at all. Like we're looking at the next one, Dreadhorde Butcher. We've got another zombie warrior, black red 1/1 haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, put a 1 counter on it. Like that. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So even if they do block it, you'll kill whatever's blocking it with your Death Touch, and then you have the ping ability on anything else.
Yeah, I was really kind of interested to see what kind of party members I was going to be able to roll into red-black, because, like you said, who are we really going to have access to? I wasn't thinking we'd hit clerics and wizards and all that, but like we have everything covered very easily. And, when you look at just what we have in the party section for my deck overview here, there are 25 creatures, and most of them are already under the 6 CMC that Zagras is. So we're going to be able to play Zagras fairly quickly.
Yeah, a lot really of games it looks like he's coming out quick.
Yeah, and we're going to start abusing our, Death Touch mechanic on our creatures. So this is fun. So our next creature that, once again, party member is Dualcaster Mage. It's 1 red for a human wizard that's a 2/2 that has flash. When Dualcaster Mage enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for that copy. Just another thing, like it's a good blocker, honestly. Like you can rattlesnake people with this very easily.
Yep.
But also, we just have a lot of stuff with us being in red-black. Like card draw is very unique in this color. So being able to, at the very worst, maybe get a second copy of Siphon Mine or Read the Bones doesn't feel bad. But also just being able to copy a spell someone else is playing and still be on our theme for party mechanic feels really good.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Dualcaster never hurts, like you said. Sorry. The ability to just get a good spell off that you don't have access to with a copy is really important in these decks. Like, you want effects like this.
So the next person in our party is Dustfing Mentor. They're 2 and a black for a human cleric, 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, you put a lifelink counter on target non-human creature you control. Then you can pay 1 to black and tap them to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control with lifelink. So this is kind of like, it's kind of weird in this deck. I'm excited about it, and I think I'm going to be able to do fun things with it. Like, worst case, we put the counter on Zagras, or best case, we put it on something that's like, Dreadhorde Butcher or something, where once it dies, we can amass all this life from just, putting counters on it over time, or just being able to incur a small value, when we're attacking. I think it's neat. So
1/1 counter is the ability to give your life linking things 1/1 counters is really good.
Right, and go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. I was just moving on to the next one there.
And we have a couple of different cards that are going to care about lifelink later on that we'll talk about, that this card is going to help in the long run.
Oh, for sure. The next one is Slinger, another red human wizard. It's a 1/1 for 1 red, 1 colorless. Taps to deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and 1 damage to you.
Yeah, we wouldn't be in red if we weren't doing damage to ourselves.
No pain, no gain, right?
Right. The next card is Goblin Chain Whirler,
which is a monster card.
Yeah, it's nuts in this deck. 3 red for a Goblin Warrior. That's a 3/3. It has first strike. When Goblin Chain Whirler enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent in each creature and planeswalker they control.
So it kills everything.
Once again, if we have Zagras out, then play this guy. You just wipe the board. I'm sorry, one-sided board wipe.
Yep.
It's so cool.
I love the Chain Whirler, honestly. It's such a good card. Next we have Grenzo Havoc Razor, a Goblin Rogue, 2 red for a 2/2. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. Goad target creature that player controls, exile the top card of that player's library until the end of the turn. You may cast it as if it... and you can spend mana as any color to cast it, sorry.
Yeah, this has 2 of my favorite things stapled on it. Like, I already... I have a love for Grenzo. Not necessarily this one. I like the Rakdos Grenzo a lot more. But this guy, like, Goad is a very, very powerful mechanic. We play in a format where Voltron decks do exist. So being able to, like, hey, you attack someone that isn't me, already very good.
Yep.
But also being able to steal someone's stuff, like, and we can tap mana as any color. So we're playing something from someone.
Yeah, Grenzo has like a lot of... The other thing, too, is the top deck control built into him is really strong, because a lot of times you'll see people do top deck manipulation, Worldly Tutor or something like that, Mystical Tutor, where they try and scry restack the top of their deck, and making them lose that card is just brutal.
Yeah, you're getting something good out of it.
Yeah, it could be the one, like, even like the temples were all just reprinted recently. So there is a lot of the scry lands available, and just maybe that's the last land they needed to cast their commander, and now they don't have it.
Exactly. Like, even if you're not casting the card and you're letting it go to exile, you're still putting someone behind in a way. If someone has a card in their deck, there's a reason they want that card in the deck. So you're going to be slowing your opponents down. And this deck seems to be very quick. So, maybe putting them off, like you said, their commander turn means we're going to win that turn or the next turn.
Grotag Night Runner is the next Goblin Rogue. It's a 2/3, 2 colorless, 1 red, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile top card of that library, you may play it this turn. So you will have to actually use the right color mana this time, but again, still the same top deck control. And if it is, because it's you may play it this turn, if you're hitting their lands, you're able to play them. Exactly.
Like I said, I like stealing stuff from people. And this is another, like, when I saw Grenzo and then saw this card when I was going through, like, my bulk, this is too much fun not to use. And being a 3-drop, it's going to make Zagras cheaper to play. The next card is Harsh Mentor, 1 and a red for a human cleric, 2/2. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield. If it isn't a mana ability, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player. This is kind of a stacksy piece, and I just think it's fun. You know, how many times I've had to set and watch someone like go off with some weird combo involving, you know, artifacts tapping and untapping things. Harsh Mentor says, like, no, we're not doing that.
Yep, exactly. Well, and also the ability to just stop even the tap draw card kind of shenanigans, or some cards like tap untap target land. That's a really popular card with Ashaya now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's really going to make someone, like, that 2 damage over time is really going to start to add up. Like, they're going to start second guessing, like, do I want to, you know, draw this card by tapping this creature or land or what have you.
2 damage over time is what kills everyone who plays against Rakdos. Like, Rakdos doesn't do it all in once. It likes to chip away brutally at you.
Yep, Brian can attest to that.
Yep. The next card on the list is, where did it go? The Hooded Blight Fang. 2 and a black for a snake.
Yep, first one to break our party.
First one not in the party. He's Death Touch. Whenever creature you control with Death Touch attacks, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. That is incredibly strong in this deck. Whenever creature you control deals with Death Touch deals damage to a Planeswalker destroyed. So another Planeswalker Death Touch mantle. But exactly. that ability of each opponent loses a life and you gain a life on attack is extremely strong.
Yeah, I found this card like kind of like a second Zagras in a way, just being able to drain people. But really the Planeswalker Death Touch is also very powerful. Like, you know, Atrax is one of the most popular.
Yeah, you see Super
decks.
Friends a lot.
Yeah, so just being able to answer them, like red and black do a pretty decent job, but it's normally, you know, our instant and sorcery slots where that's taken up real estate at. This way, we get to play the deck as we want to, but turn all of our creatures into removal spells, essentially, which I love doing. That's that, like, crossing the streams where utility for the sake of being able to just play the game is always fun.
Yep, I agree. The next one is actually coming back in Commander Legends. It's one of the first cards they spoiled with the artwork, not the actual card itself. But it's Jeska Warrior Adept. It's red, 2 red and 2 colorless. First strike haste, 3/1, and it's also a pinger. Deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So again, the ability to ping players or to blow creatures off the board.
Yeah, I didn't look up the Oracle text. I'm fairly positive there's still just a barbarian, but it's just another, like, it's a pinger that's good. First strike with Death Touch is amazing, so it's going to be one of the best blockers around. And having haste, so if like I really need to remove something and I don't have any of my pingers on the board, but I have my commander, this card can come down and do exactly what I need it to do as soon as it hits the battlefield.
So its errated creature type is Human Barbarian Warrior, so it hits the party.
Okay, cool. I should have double checked that, but I just saw, like, oh, pinger, yes.
Yeah, like, there's no way I can't use this one.
With haste?
Yeah.
Couldn't avoid it.
The next one we have is Malachor Blood Priest. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Now, this is a great card in the deck because, again, life gain, great, life drain, great, and it's Zach. You know that recursion happens in the deck. It might not be the main theme of it, but I'm sure it's there.
Yeah, I want to make it, you know, everyone's choice. If I'm playing Drana and I'm hitting you, I want to make that choice super, super hard for you. So there's going to be some kind of value I'm getting out of it more than you.
Yeah, that coming back is actually pretty rough. I didn't even think of that.
Exactly. Like, there are plenty of different little things. Like I said, like, I tried not to do as much reanimation in this package, but there are a couple of things that you're not going to see this card only once if I play it.
Oh, yeah. The next one I'll let you take away. This is a card that never should have been printed.
Yes. So Morag, Fury of Akum, 4 red for a legendary creature, a Minotaur warrior. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it has attacked this turn. And then it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control, and it's a 6/6.
It is really, really strong.
Yeah, there's a lot to kind of digest about this card. It's bonkers, basically, is all you really need to know, and it fits the party.
The one thing that is kind of rough for a lot of people is they're missing that you don't get the extra main phase after it. So as long as if it's a main phase, you just go right into combat. You cultivate 2 lands out or something, then you have 2 combat phases back to back. It just starts them right back up, as aggro as red can be.
Yep. Which is nice because as we'll get to, there are a couple cards that I've made a little bit of like weird secessions for, so that I could kind of abuse Morag. Like, I didn't build the whole deck around it, but there are going to be cards that are obvious callouts. Like, if I can use this card to its fullest, I want to in this deck, because we're going to be attacking, like I said, and we have Death Touch creatures. So if worst case, we're just clearing the board and continuing on with the game.
Yep. It's a good card. It's a real good card.
Yeah. Next card is my personal favorite from the new set is Nighthawk Scavenger. 1 black for a Vampire Rogue.
The Vampire Goyf Hawk.
Yes. Flying Death Touch Lifelink. Nighthawk Scavenger's power and toughness is equal to 1 plus number of card types among each card in your opponent's graveyard. So it's a 1 plus star, then it's a 3. Like, we're playing red-black. We're going to be able to answer a lot of different types of cards. So this guy is going to get decent size fairly quickly.
He's pretty wicked, yeah. The power, at his worst, he's a 1/3 flying Death Touch Lifelink, which again, on theme, it hits the party, it's a vampire, it's Death Touch. What more could you want? And then at its best, I think there's something like, I think it can be a 9 or a 10, 10/3.
Yeah, I know it can be huge for what it is. Like, the ceiling on this card isn't very low.
Yeah, like the worst it is a good card, and the best it is an amazing card.
Exactly.
The next we have Null Priest of Oblivion. We have 1 and a black for a Vampire Cleric with a kicker of 4. Menace Lifelink. When it enters, if it was kicked, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I knew it was in here. I knew you had recurred.
It's too good of a card not to play, right? Like, the kicker, worst case, we're playing it for just a 2/1 for 2 with Menace and Lifelink. That's already, like, really, really solid. But if we have the extra mana, maybe late game, or like we have a ritual or something, we can get back something that, a pinger that we might need, or maybe we're wanting to recast Morag because it's been answered the wrong way and sent to the graveyard. This card's going to do it, and it's on theme. So, like, it had to go in this deck.
It fits in, like I said, there's a lot of really cool members of your party here. We're getting right to the end of it. So we have Painseer for 1 and a black. It has Inspired. Whenever it becomes untapped, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. You lose life equal to its CMC. So it's Inspired is basically a Dark Confidant, a 25-cent version of the card.
Yeah, I really like the Inspired mechanic. I don't get to use it as much as I would like. With this being a Death Touch tribal deck, like, do you want to lose, one of your good creatures by chump blocking this thing, or do you want to let me draw a card and lose life? Like, where do you feel confident letting me do?
There's I do really, really like the Inspired mechanic. Like, King Makar is my favorite one to use of it, obviously, because I just love him.
Yeah, like, King Makar is very cool. I liked Painseer, and there was one other, I'm trying to remember the name. It was a Minotaur, I believe, and it, like, if it was inspired, it let you copy a spell, I want to say.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
I had a really janky deck I did vehicles with that I used him. I thought it was super cool, but it was not very good.
The next one is one of my favorite cards they've ever printed. It's Wrangled, Master of Pranks. I just love it. I always call him the Master of Prankles. It's 2 black for a Fairy Rogue, Flying Haste, 3/3. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, choose any number of the following. Each player discards a card, each player loses a life and draws a card, and each player sacks a creature. He's just got so many good things built into him. The artwork's phenomenal. I love Rankle.
I have no decks I've been able to play this card in that I felt like, oh, this really takes advantage of one of these things, and this deck feels like it fits right. We already need some flying coverage anyways.
Yep.
This being a cheap flyer and having haste, like, let's just put Death Touch on it too. Why
built-in
not?
sacrifice, yeah. And also the kind of draw you need, like, oh, Rankle doesn't do any wrong.
No, I really like him. I'm glad I found a home for him finally that I felt like really fits theme.
The next one we have is Robber of the Rich. It's 1 and a red for a human archer rogue. 2/2 reach haste. When it attacks, if defending player has more cards in their hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attacked with it, any turn you attacked with a rogue, that's pretty cool. You may cast that spell and spend mana as though it were any color to cast it.
This card's just sick. Like, we care about the party mechanic, and as you've seen, like, we just talked about another rogue, but there are quite a few rogues in this deck, and our commander's a rogue. So Robber of the Rich hits we're going to see rogues quite a few times in this deck, and it lets us do what I like doing. I'm stealing cards from someone's top of their library. This is a card that can come out a turn. You could kind of like wait on people to do their search at the top of their deck and Robber of the Rich them, and it feels bad for them, but it's great for us.
The next one I really like because people don't run enough effects like this. It's Withered Wretch. It's black, 2/2 zombie cleric. Exile target card from a graveyard. That ability to control what people are doing in the graveyard, like this would just decimate a Muldrotha deck.
Yeah, like I love being able, because most of the stuff you're going to play in Muldrotha anyways, it's like, well, what's your target? It's this. Well, I'm going to pay 1 and remove it in response.
Well, or just the ability to get rid of like my Lionized Diamond from my Muldrotha deck, right? Like a very strong piece in the deck.
I think I was playing my Kels deck when you were doing that. Yeah. If I would have had him at that point in time, because that's where he is, like, I put it in there because he's a zombie, but that would have it would have helped quite a bit.
It would have hurt quite a bit.
Yes, it's targeted, which is even better. We can do what we need to when we need to do it.
Yeah. We have
the final.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. The final card for our party is Zulaport Cutthroat, 1 and a black. It's a human rogue ally for a 1/1. Whenever Zulaport Cutthroat or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Like I said, we're playing Death Touchers. Not all of our guys are really big. So if someone wants to trade, this is just going to always put us ahead of them. We're not just losing something. If we're going to have to, you're going to lose something as well.
I like it. I was just looking here. You've got a really interesting utility section, so I'll let you explain what it is and why it's there.
Okay, I was actually really excited about this one. So we're running our commander to give all of our creatures Death Touch, but if we don't always have it, something like Basilisk Collar, 1 cost equipment, it gives our creatures lifelink and Death Touch, and we can equip it for 2. This is just a great card. We can put it on any of our pingers. Not only are we going to be able to blow up a creature, but we also gain the life from pinging them.
Well, and really also, if you get one of them really big, then the ability to have that lifelink on the big creature is strong.
Yes, it's awesome in that regard too, because sometimes we just are able to. Some of our creatures care about letting us hit a player with their ping. So not only like maybe we dumb someone for 5 or 6, we get to gain that too. It's literally insult to injury.
Now this next one I didn't actually read when we were first doing it. This is a very good card.
Yeah. Do you want to take it away then?
Yeah, this is a nuts card. Coveted Prize. So 4 and a black for a sorcery. The spell costs 1 less for each creature in your party. So, yeah, this is really, really good. I actually can't get over how good this is. This, at its best, is a 1 mana, search your library for any card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Then, if you have a full party, you can cast a spell with CMC 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Amazing.
And I'm sure, looking over this, you can see too, we don't have a lot of very high CMC cards. Like, if you look at our deck analytics here, our average CMC is 2.86 with a total of 7 cards being above 4 CMC.
Well, this just goes and gets silly cards. It fixes now this I'm sold on the party. Zach, you might have changed my mind on party.
I'm telling you, man, I kept seeing this card. Like, honestly, I'll be straight with you. Like, I wanted to use this card solely because of the art. I didn't read the card until I started putting this deck together, and I was like, holy crap, this fits.
The artwork is killer.
Yeah, the art did it for me, and then I was like, I want to find a way to use this card, and Zagras is the exact home for this card.
Well, and the 1 mana, any card to hand without revealing, very strong. And then also, the ability to cast something 4 or less from hand. It doesn't have to be what you tutor for. It can be any of your cards in hand. So even if you want to go tutor for something you want next turn, and you have something else to block, super good card.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I'm just blown away how good that card is. Like, especially like in this deck, like in the right deck, that's a good card.
Very much agree.
It's like the expertise, like the Rishkar's expertise, Barrel's expertise kind of cards.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I love those mechanics. I run them as much as I can. They're some of my favorite cards in Magic.
So this next card is an auto include for any decks like this. I run this card in a lot of different decks. It's Glaring Spotlight. It's 1-cost artifact. It says creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the target of spells or abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof. Then you can pay 3 and sack it. Creatures you control gain hexproof until the end of turn and are unblockable this turn. This card literally does so much work.
Well, it's got great built-in protection for you, and then on top of that, like it has the ability to make it so you can kill that thing. I'll put my boots on it. Get wrecked.
Exactly. Like, we're playing red, so we're going to be able to deal with a lot of artifacts, but enchantments, not necessarily something we can do anything about, Where Glaring Spotlight just says, nope, we can see everything. We're going to still blow everything up. You're not going to slow down our game plan. This next card, I've been talking a lot about in our host chat because I just seem to keep opening them, and I don't know if that's necessarily a problem or not.
They just want you to play it.
Yeah, so I'm going to. It's Leyline Tyrant. It's 2 a red for a dragon with flying. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. When Leyline Tyrant dies, you may pay any amount of red mana. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target, and it's a 4/4.
The ability to save up your mana, awesome. The ability to blow apart whatever you want on the board, awesome, because it'll still have Death Touch.
Exactly. It's nuts. I didn't take a lot of advantage of what you would typically see X spells, whether they be black or red. But I just want to just being able to store mana alone is just enough for this card.
For me. Red Omnath is nothing to balk at.
And flying, why not? let's really make this a mythic.
It's definitely a mythic for sure. Minions return, flash, 2 and a black. Enchant creature, when it dies, return it to the battlefield under your control. So not only can you take other people's cards with this, which is a great card, but you can save your important pieces with it at instant speed.
Yep, I just like stealing things. And I can steal them from their graveyard, even better.
Yeah. I really, really like that card.
Yeah, it's very good. I just haven't found a deck where I felt like it was, this was a home for it. Once again, it is that deck.
The next one on the list is possibly one of the best equipments they've ever printed. It's super in demand right now because the gods in Theros need to be dealt with. Its equipped creature gets 1/1 and trample life like a Shadow Spear. 1-cost artifact equipment. For 1, permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn, and 2 to equip. So again, with your pingers, I will play my Ulamog and I'll attack you next turn with it. Bop for 1 and it's dead.
Yep, redundancy is a huge thing in this deck. If I'm jamming as many.
You have a plan and you're using it.
Exactly. Let's get rid of indestructible. Let's get rid of hexproof. Shroud's a little bit harder to deal with, but I feel like people play a lot more hexproof than Shroud because they're greedy like me.
You see hexproof
target based up.
Yeah, you see hexproof a lot more.
So if I'm playing Death Touch Tribal, I have to play this card, Thornbite Staff. It's a 2-cost artifact. It's a shaman equipment. Doesn't matter here. Equipped creature has 2 tap. This creature deals 1 damage to the target creature or player. And whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, untap that creature. Whenever a shaman ETBs, you can attach it. Whatever. It's a 4 cost to attach. So basically, what this allows me to do is I can pay 2, tap a creature that has Death Touch, and kill something if I'm unable to swing or attach or do something silly. And if a creature dies,
untap. So it is one of the good untap shenanigans with your ability to have those pingers. You can just board wipe with this card. I love it. I love Thornbite Staff.
Yeah, it's such a cool card, and this is a good outlet for Leyline Tyrant. The board's really cluttered before our turn. Let's unclutter it very quickly.
The next one's a really cool card from the set as well. It's Thwart the Grave. It's one of the uncommons. It's 4 black, costs 1 less for each creature in your party. Return target creature card and up to 1 target cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it'll give you both of the, like it's going to give you something from your party and also whatever card you want. I really, really like it. From your graveyard, yeah.
For 2 black, essentially.
Yeah.
We're going to have enough.
Well, and the ability to recur from your graveyard 2 creatures at the cost of 2 mana is pretty killer.
Yeah, it's stitched together, which I feel like is a little bit easier to do with our mechanic. The last card for our utility section is Unholy Indenture. It's 2 and a black for another aura enchant creature. When an enchant creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Let's just keep bringing everything back that isn't ours for whatever reason.
I love that card. Again, protect something important to yourself, or give someone a reason to not threaten you because you're going to bring their creature back as soon as it dies.
And smack them with it, or bonk them, as they say in Canada.
Yep, it is the bonk. Your artifacts look like they're a lot of ramp. We'll just quickly breeze through your ramp here.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. The only things I really want to talk about is Pilgrim's Eye and Pyretic Ritual. So Pilgrim's Eye is a 3-cost artifact that's flying. When it enters the battlefield, you search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. This is, like I said, this is one of my concessions. I have a couple landfall cards in here I want to try to use as much as possible. So stuff like Pilgrim's Eye can help make that landfall ability happen, every turn or potentially every turn. Pyretic Ritual is 1 in a red for an instant. Add 3 mana to your mana pool.
Yeah,
I don't use rituals very often, and this felt like a good time. And once again, with Leyline Tyrant, worst case.
Yeah, you're at least storing some up.
I'm just going to store 3 mana for later. Yeah. So that's really, it's a pretty typical Zagras package. If you've seen my decks previously, then this is pretty normal. So in my card draw section, it's also fairly normal what you'd expect for a red-black deck. There's just a few cards I kind of wanted to talk about.
Let's go over the card draw that you have, because you have some pretty cool ones. So I'll let you start them off.
All right, we starting at the top, or do you want me to?
Yeah, no. Let's start on. We've got
cool.
Some good ones.
All right, so the first one's Ambitious Cause. It's 3 and a black for a sorcery. Draw 3 cards, lose 3 life. Okay, yeah, it's black. I'm fine with this. With as much life gain as there actually is in this deck, this is fine.
3 life's nothing. This is another one that hits your party. It's Azra Oddsmaker. 1 in Rakdos for an Azra Warrior 3/3. Beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard a card. If you do, choose a creature. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw 2 cards.
I love this card. I think it's so cool. I think it's super flavorful. It does what Rakdos wants to do.
It does what I like to do in games, which is threaten people.
Yeah, there's that too.
I'm throwing this card out, and this card's going to hit you. Mark my words.
The next one is one of my personal favorites, because I used to be really into zombies. It's Corpse Augur. It's 3 and a black for a zombie wizard. It's a 4/2. When the Corpse Augur dies, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is a total number of creature cards in target player's graveyard.
Yeah.
So if you just want to draw a ton of cards and lose a ton of life, this is the card for you. With all of our creatures having Death Touch, we're going to be able to answer people's boards very easily. If you want to go 6 deep, that doesn't seem that unreasonable for this guy. And it being a 4-drop, yeah, it's fine.
I think it fits in really well, and again, it's the ability to hit your own graveyard or your own or theirs. There's a lot of great stuff with that. Faithless Looting is a red. Everyone knows Faithless Looting. It's a red staple for a draw. You draw 2, discard 2, and it has flashback, which is important.
Very much so.
Night's Whisper. 1 colorless, 1 black. You draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. Again, it's black. You don't care about like that. That's not a problem to lose. I also really like the Flavor Text Bean Vraska. It's a Death Touch themed deck. We've got Death Touch themes there. It's Flavor Text is I've seen things that would reduce a weaker person to blubbering and raving. What want to hear about them?
Yeah, It's my favorite version of Might's Whisper to use. I always put that specific one in my decks.
That's a cool one for sure. I like it a lot. The art's really nice.
Yep. Next one's Phyrexian Arena. 1 black enchantment. At the beginning of our upkeep, we draw a card and lose 1 life. Good. We play it in black decks.
Yeah, well, that's a solid card in any black deck. Pretty much. Again, you're losing a life for a card draw in a deck color that needs card draw desperately.
Yep. Read the Bones is a pack card of mine. It's 2 and a black for a sorcery. Scry 2, then draw 2, then lose 2.
Yes.
I play it in all my black decks. Same thing for this card too. It's a Siphon Mine, 3 and a black. Each other player discards a card. You draw a card for each card discarded this way.
It's a very, very good card in Commander. It's definitely meant for a multiplayer format.
For sure. And what's awesome about this card is it scales super, super well. Yep. So, like, you know, in a typical game of Commander, we're just playing 4 players free-for-all, so that's 3 cards. But I've heard of groups that play like 5, 6, and 7 people in a pod. This card just scales better as the more people you include. It's not unreasonable to like play this card in a big group and draw 6 cards.
Oh yeah, the larger the group, the better that card is going to be. But at its worst, in a full game of Commander, you're looking at causing everyone to discard a card except you, and you draw 3 for 4. That's solid effect.
Yep. This card I was super excited to add. I've wanted to play it, and once again, this just seems like the place to play it. It's Theater of Horrors. It's 1 black-red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. During your turn, if an opponent lost life this turn, you may play cards exiled with Theater of Horrors. Then 3 and a red. Theater of Horrors deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker.
I think that's the playmat I have now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, I know I have one of those, one of the Rakdos weird playmats.
This card is just, it's awesome in this deck. Like, it's a good mana sink with, once again with Leyline Tyrant if we just happen to have the mana. We're going to deal some damage to someone at some point, even if our pingers are just, we hit someone instead of something, and we're going to get to play a card. It's good. It's more card draw, and they compound. The more of our enchantments that draw us cards, the more this is going to work.
I really like that card.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually never seen anyone play that one personally. Thrill of Possibility is the next one. It's 1 and a red. As an additional cost to cast it, discard a card, you draw 2 cards. So red's really good at looting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you take the next one away. It's an insanely strong card that is just doing crazy work in Standard right now.
Yeah, this is Valakut Exploration. It's 2 and a red for an enchantment. It has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we exile the top card of our library. We may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Then, at the beginning of your end step, if there are cards exiled with Valakut Exploration, put them into their owner's graveyard. Then Valakut Exploration deals that much damage to each opponent.
It is a great card. The stuff that this card enables is nuts. It's obviously going to work a lot better in decks that care more about landfall, but for red, it just gives you... Red has a lot of those effects that are exile and then you may play, so it's kind of an all-or-nothing effect, and I love the all-or-nothing effects.
And I'm very greedy, so like being able to exile and then at my end step, I can put those cards back in my graveyard.
Yep.
There's no downside to this. I mean, maybe it can get removed on our turn, and then those cards stay exiled. Yeah, that sucks, but do you really want to waste a spell to exile this enchantment?
Well, exactly, right? People generally aren't gonna be willing to fight with you over it,
Exactly, and once again, I do have some concessions with landfall. There are some cards in here to help enable that more consistently, and we're almost to one of the easy ones that'll help us make sure we're hitting landfall every turn. But we'll quickly look at our removal package, and then we'll get into lands, and we'll wrap this deck up. So removal's pretty standard for a red-black deck. I just kind of want to touch on the cards that came out in Zendikar Rising that we've put into this. So the first one is Deadly Alliance. It's 4 and a black for an instant. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in our party, and just says destroy target creature or planeswalker. So, 1 black, essentially, destroy target creature or planeswalker.
Yeah, it's a solid card. I like that you've got so much of the party stuff that cares about the party mechanic, because again, it looks like it's expensive, but it's really not that bad.
Yeah, with so many of our party members being low CMC, these cards are going to come out when we need them to, and we're going to be able to pay like nothing for them.
Well, yeah, and a one black instant destroy target planeswalker is nothing to shake your head at. That's a really good card.
Yep. The next card that every black deck is going to play forever now is Feed the Swarm. It's 1 black sorcery, destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent CMC. I'm going to put this in literally every black deck from now on. I've already started doing that in all my black decks. Like, I've been picking up copies. Just
it's a staple. It's definitely going to be one of the better black cards you can play, because black doesn't have targeted enchantment removal. They have the ability to make someone sacrifice an enchantment at best, or kill the player.
Yep.
And kill the player isn't always the solution.
Exactly. The last one I want to talk about is Soul Shatter. It's 2 black for another instant. Each opponent sacks a creature or planeswalker with the highest CMC from among creatures or planeswalkers they control.
Yeah, a good one. Hopefully it doesn't end up hitting yours, but is what it is.
Well, it's each opponent.
Oh, each opponent, not even each player. Yeah, well then there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, there are so many times, people Blightsteel Colossus or an Eldrazi or something that, maybe we don't have our indestructible removal package at the moment. And it's an instant.
That's, like you said, exactly. I do play Blightsteel in a lot of decks.
Yeah, so you're going to give him haste. That's fine. We'll Soul Shatter anyways. Let's just go ahead and make you sack him. That's the big thing, making someone sacrifice it. Because if it's destroyed, that's not always going to hit. Yeah.
I like that. You have a lot more lands than I would run.
Yeah, we've been over this. You guys are crazy. But so I play 37 lands. It's just like, if I play 36, it's because the CMC is low. But 37 lands is just where I feel, pretty confident. So I'm not going to go over all these, but I will go over the ones that I personally think matter. So Arkan Lighthouse is just a normal land. You can tap to add a colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap. Until end of turn, creatures your opponents control lose hexproof and shroud and can't have hexproof or shroud. This is, we're going to blow people out of the water with this land at that. Most of the time, people aren't going to run targeted land removal. So if they play something that gives their permanents hexproof, we can deal with it. Or if they just innately have it, this is going to help us get rid of that.
Yep.
Another land that does something very similar is Detection Tower. It's just a normal land. Tap to add a colorless 1 and tap. Till end turn, your opponents and creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the target of spells and abilities you control as if they didn't have hexproof.
Which
Same
is,
thing.
Yeah, the ability. You really need to strip that away in a deck like this because you have to kill them.
Yep, we want to be able to target everything forever, and these lands are going to make it much more likely that we're going to be able to do that. And the last land we're going to talk about is another one of my personal favorites because it's an older land and it's really kind of wonky. It's Ghost Town.
And I'd actually never seen this land until you mentioned it, and I'm going to go buy one.
Yeah, it's super good and it's really cheap. You can tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Then you can pay nothing and return Ghost Town to its owner's hand. Use this ability only during another player's turn. So we're in Rakdos. Hitting lands and being consistent on getting our lands isn't always going to be something we're going to be able to do. I try to offset that as best as possible in our ramp package, but to make sure I can trigger Morag or I can trigger
your
Exploration, Ghost Town is going to do that. If we're unconfident the top card is going to be a land or we just know it's not going to be, I'm just going to return Ghost Town to my hand and play it again.
I honestly would want to run this in every deck that has Burgeoning.
Yeah, it's good in that. It enables landfall very easily. It has to be your land per turn, but so many green decks don't care because they're going to play multiple lands a turn anyways.
Yeah.
But for us, just making sure, I just need to be able to hit one more combat step with Morag to win this game or close this game out. This is going to do that. Or I need to dig a little bit deeper with Valakut Exploration, this will definitely ensure that.
Yeah, when you're searching for that last answer you need.
Yep, sometimes it's just, one away. I can get that, feed the swarm, and get rid of, humility or something silly.
Yeah, this, overall, this actually looks like a really, really fun deck to play. I'm not the biggest fan of Rakdos in general, but, this looks aggro. It looks like you're going to have a lot of fun, actually, with the party mechanic. And I'll get Hope to draw a party hat on this Zagras for you, and I'll send it to you.
Oh, I would appreciate that, because I didn't open one. I would be very happy.
Oh, I think we got 2 or 3, so I will, quote me on that, make Hope draw a party hat on it.
All right, I will. Yeah, I think it's really fun. Obviously, early game, it's going to do well. I think it's going to stabilize mid and late game, too. The more pieces we get to put on our board, the less pieces someone else is going to get to have on their board. That's what this deck is going to do. And, our commander has Flying Death Touch and Haste. It's not unreasonable to just commander damage someone out of the game.
Yeah, we did kind of breeze over that. He is Flying Death Touch Haste. That is a strong ability on a 4/4.
Yep.
But yeah, this is the party deck, and yeah, he seems really fun. Death Touch Tribal is an exciting way to play it, especially not in green, because green generally is where you would find that.
Yeah, it was cool. So one of my first things I ever did with Instant 99 was my Chevelle deck, and it was Death Touch Tribal. Green-black, that's pretty easy to do. It was cool to see how red-black does it and what kind of crossovers there were. There weren't as many as I thought there were going to be, honestly.
I definitely want to see this played, for sure. It looks like such a fun deck, and I really do want to see what people come up with for the party stuff. Because, like I said, I didn't like the mechanic at all. And this is the first party deck I've seen put together, and this looks fun. This looks very fun, especially that coveted prize. I would want to make use of that card for sure.
Yeah, I'm on board with you, honestly. When I saw Party and I saw Zagras, I was just kind of whatever. But I don't know what it was. I think just the more I kept, doing my, weird brewing thing that I do, I built this legendary creature from it, now I want to do this, there's just so much good stuff in Party and Red and Black, honestly. Coveted, you said, Coveted Prize is nuts. Deadly Alliance is super good. They're just, it's one of those things that I like. It's a mechanic that definitely, is kind of forced in the set, obviously, but you're rewarded for really just playing the game. Did I really build this deck, with any kind of real constraints? All these creatures are good creatures, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Before we go, I did want to talk on one thing. As everyone knows who pays any attention at all to Standard, there is going to be something banned coming up. It wouldn't make sense to ban new Omnath. He's the face of the collector boosters. He's kind of a big deal in it. They're not banning Omnath. Everyone's got to get that idea out of their head. Likely, Uro is going to get the Standard ban, and Uro should have got it for a long time, but that means that Commander players are going to be able to pick it up cheap once they finally do ban it. So I am actually looking forward to that. There should be a wave of Uro coming, because I think Monday morning is going to say, bye-bye Uro, no more.
Yeah, that seems reasonable, honestly.
I can't see them banning the stuff that's problematic from the new set, and I don't know. It's obvious that, Uro just enables too much of it as is. He was already a strong card. That's why his price has just been so monstrous ever since. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm just hoping to see that. I just wanted everyone to know that we might have an Uro deck coming.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Zach, let them know where everyone can find our stuff.
You can find us on Instagram at Insta99. You can find us on Twitch at Insta99. Really anywhere, just Insta99.
Yeah, Into the 99 podcast. Check out our weekend streams. They're always available. And thanks guys so much for tuning in.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, you're still going here.
Party on, Dan.
Party on, Zach. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys.
You have a good weekend, guys.